live from El Monte. El Monte
He's not going to
Legion Stadium. It's roller derby.
He's doing this. I don't know why.
I don't know. I tried to.
Half the time, you know, on Tuesdays he cannot change directions without turning off the phone.
Premature.
Don't even go there.
But anyway, after that introduction, here she is. I hope. There's our parking lot. Sprouts. Okay. And there she is.
Good morning. We had a nice week. Hope you had a nice week. Well, you know, we had visitors on our anniversary on Thursday, the fiberglass anniversary. We had visitors from Southern California, and we had Michael, and he brought two new friends who were very interesting and fun, amiable, pleasant, well-informed, knowledgeable. Anyway, it was nice, and then we went out to dinner later at a Kathmandu, and had someone bought us dinner. It was very nice. So I'm kind of just, I want to go home today. I'm feeling very sentimental. Well, not sentimental. I'm feeling I'm homesick for Costa Mesa. But anyway, what's new? A nice lady put a bunch of bearded irises. She thinned her stock and put them out in the street. I found them on my walk, and Lon drove by the next morning, and they were still there, some of them. I brought way too many home, back to the house, and I don't know anything about them. We looked online, so I just dug a hole.
What are they called?
Bearded irises.
Bearded irises?
Yeah, anyway, so we have a space.
Do they have sideburns?
No, they have beard just like yours. And anyway, so I was going to dig in the alley because that's my only space left. It doesn't have invasive tree roots, but it has gravel and thick Bermuda grass. So I thought I'd get my root slayer shovel, which makes me a force beyond human capacity. But it doesn't like to go through gravel, so I had to get the pickaxe. And so I did the pickaxe in the alley, and then I got on hands and knees this took a couple of days, and pulled out as much Bermuda grass as I could in about an 18-inch swath, and wide, and I don't know how many feet long. Lon? Not very. He has no
50.
Yeah, he doesn't know about time and space. We'll only be a mile this. Anyway.
4 feet or 60.
He doesn't know the difference between feet and inches.
Time is real.
Anyway, I got them. I was planting them in the dark last night. The church security light was on, and then I watered them. So they're still there this morning. So.
But you were attacked by mosquitoes.
It has weird mosquitoes here, little tiny, fast, vicious ones.
They're assholes.
Yeah, and they don't.
There's asshole mosquitoes
I haven't been bitten too many times, thank goodness, because once my arm was swollen for like a week. No kidding, maybe more than that. It was really swollen for like 4 bites all at once, and this time they bit me on the back of my head, and I've got like truly egg-shaped bumps on the back of my head.
It's like an unborn twin still attached.
Anyway, you don't need to know about strange mosquito bites. Hope they don't hurt my brain. So I just I don't know. I don't have any particular message except I really. Lon's going to talk about. He has been talking about the 3 schools of magic, and I said, well, I think they're only necessary, any of them, or viable, or whatever, below the abyss, because above the abyss, you don't need stuff like that. So I guess that's why I don't. I mix them up. I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever works at the time. Who cares?
Yeah.
So
anyway, they're not philosophies.
No,
they're schools of magic.
Yeah, they're like yes. Do you either use the pickaxe or the or the root slayer shovel. It does, whatever works at the time, or bare hands. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure he has something very enjoyable to talk about. And I just wish you all. I'm feeling very hippie-ish too. Peace and love. It's so. It's not outdated. It's so necessary, and so I want some, so I'm blessing you with it.
Oh.
Hope you all have a week full of peace and love, and that's it.
Okay, you certainly look nice today, my dear. I
Another
have to.
Goodwill sweatshirt. Yes.
So
we stocked up here because it was so cold. I didn't have any warm things, and we've had a very pleasant October and November. Shockingly so.
Okay, and we're getting ready for the plumber to come tomorrow morning.
Oh yeah, they're going to shut off our water.
They're going to shut off our water.
And sewer, so there'll be no, it's dangerous.
Yes, they know.
We have not a porta potty. What's it called? One of those
commode.
A commode thing. When Lon had his.
That's too much information for
I know.
most people.
We're gonna have to use that. It's gonna be scary. It's out of the compost pile, but I think they're working under the house.
We've got the commode in storage here in the
car,
in the back of the car, along with our love swing.
Okay. I'm just going to swing out of here on that one.
Oh, okay.
Turn the camera around without letting it shut off.
I'm going to try to turn the camera around. Okay. Thank you, dear. That was
totally
worthless. That was very deer-like. A deer in the headlight.
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like. So, peace and love.
Peace and love to you, darling.
Give it back to them.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Now we're about on time. Anyway, yesterday I was reading from Magick Without Tears, Crowley's letters to women disciples, at least one of them anyway. And we're talking about the 3 schools of magic. And yesterday was the yellow school. And he talked quite a bit about the Tao Te Ching and the Tao and things like that as sort of an example. To tell you the truth, in reviewing them all, he has the most complimentary things to say, I think, about the yellow school. But anyways, today we're going to talk about the black school. Now, it's a rather long chapter, for a daily show. And to tell you the truth, the second half of it is talking mostly about the white school. So I'm going to take us about as far as I can go today, so you can get on with your Tuesday. Okay, so here is 3 Schools of Magic, Part 2. And for us, it'll be Part 2, Part 1. Terra Soror, do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law. Hoping that you are now recovered from the devastating revelations in the matter of the yellow school, I must ask you to brace yourself for disclosures even more formidable about the black. Do not confuse with the Black Lodge or the Black Brothers. Now, if I could underline those words for you, I would. But instead I'll just repeat it. Do not confuse with the Black Lodge or the Black Brothers. The terminology is unfortunate, but it wasn't I that did it. Now then, to work. The black school of magic, which by no means be confused with the school of black magic or sorcery, which latter is the perversion of the white tradition, is distinguished fundamentally from the yellow school in that it considers the universe not as neutral, but as definitely a curse. Its primary theorem is the first noble truth of the Buddha: everything is sorrow. In the primitive classics of this school, the idea of sorrow is confused with that of sin. This idea of universal lamentation is presumably responsible for the choice of black as its symbolic color. And yet, is not white the Chinese hue of mourning? Mourning, not morning. The analysis of the philosophers of this school refer every phenomenon to the category of sorrow. It's quite useless to point out to them that certain events are accompanied with joy. They continue their ruthless calculations and prove to your satisfaction, or rather dissatisfaction, that the more apparently pleasant an event is, the more malignantly deceptive is its fascination. There's only one way to escape, even conceivable, and this way is quite simple: annihilation. Shallow critics of Buddhism have wasted a great deal of stupid ingenuity, or as we say in Costa Mesa, ingenuity, on trying to make out that nirvana or nibbana means something different from what etymology, tradition, and the evidence of the classics combine to define it. The word means quite simply, we're talking about nirvana, cessation. And it stands to reason that if everything is sorrow, the only thing which is not sorrow is nothing. And that therefore to escape from sorrow is the attainment of nothingness. Western philosophy has on occasion approached this doctrine. It has at least asserted that no known form of existence is exempt from sorrow. Huxley says it in his Evolution and Ethics. Quote, "Suffering is the badge of all the tribe of sentient beings." Sentient things. Unquote. The philosophers of this school, seeking naturally enough to amend the evil at the root, inquire into the cause of this existence, which is sorrow, and arrive immediately at the second noble truth of the Buddha. The cause of sorrow is desire. They follow up with endless concatenation of causes, of which the final root is ignorance. I'm not concerned to defend the logic of this school. I merely state their doctrine. The practical issue of all this is that every kind of action is both unavoidable and a crime. So every conceivable action is unavoidable and it's a crime. I must digress to explain that the confusion of thought in this doctrine is constantly recurrent. That is, of the blackness of the ignorance which they confess to be the foundation of their universe. And after all, everyone has surely the right to have their own universe the way he wants it. This school, being debased by nature, is not so far removed from conventional religion as either the white or the yellow. The most primitive fetishistic religions may in fact be considered fairly faithful representations of this philosophy. Where animism holds sway, the medicine man personifies this universal evil and seeks to propitiate it by human sacrifice. In the early forms of Judaism, and that type of Christianity which we associate with the Salvation Army, Billy Sunday, these are evangelistic, like the evangelical movement of today. Billy Sunday and the fundamentalists of the back blocks of America, not the black box, but the back blocks, are sufficiently simple cases of religion whose essence is the propitiation of a malignant demon. When the light of intelligence begins to dawn dimly through the many fogs upon these savages, we reach a second stage. Bold spirits muster courage to assert that the evil which is so obvious is, in some mysterious way, an illusion. They thus throw back the whole complexity of sorrow to a single cause, that is, the arising of the illusion aforesaid. The problem then assumes a final form. How is this illusion to be destroyed? A fairly pure example of the first stage of this thought is to be found in the Vedas, of the second stage in the Upanishads. But to answer the question, how is the illusion of evil to be destroyed, depends on another point of theory. We may postulate a Parabrahm infinitely good, or a Parabrahm is someone who's achieved complete knowledge of self. Okay. We may postulate a Parabrahm infinitely good, etc., etc., in which case we consider the destruction of the illusion of evil as the reuniting of the consciousness with the Parabrahm. The unfortunate part of this scheme of things is that on seeking to define Parabrahm for the purpose of returning to it, to its purity, it's discovered sooner or later that it possesses no qualities at all. In other words, as the farmer said on being shown an elephant, there ain't no such animal. It was Gautama Buddha who perceived the inutility of dragging in this imaginary pachyderm. Since our Parabrahm, he said to the Hindu philosophers, is actually nothing, why not stick to our original perception that everything is sorrow and admit that the only way to escape from sorrow is to arrive at nothingness? We may complete the whole tradition of the Indian peninsula very simply. To the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Tripitaka of the Buddhists, we have only to add the Tantras, of which are called Vamacharya schools. Paradoxical as it may sound, the Tantrics are in reality the most advanced of the Hindus. Their theory is, in its philosophical ultimatum, a primitive stage of the white tradition. For the essence of the tantric cults is that the performance of certain rites of magic, one does not only escape disaster, but attains positive benediction. The tantric is not obsessed by the will to die. It is a difficult business, no doubt, to get any fun out of existence, but at least it's not impossible. In other words, he implicitly denies the fundamental proposition that existence is sorrow. And he formulates the essential postulate of the white school of magic that means exist, by which the universal sorrow, apparent indeed to all ordinary observation, may be unmasked, even as the initiatory rite of Isis in the ancient days of Cam, where a neophyte presenting his mouth under compulsion to the pouting buttocks of the goat of Mendes found himself caressed by the chaste lips of a virginal priestess of that goddess, at the base of whose shrine it is written that no man hath lifted her veil. The basis of the black philosophy is not impossibly mere climate, with its resulting etalation of the native, its languid, bulbous, anemic, fever-prostrated emasculation of the soul of man. We accordingly find few true equivalents of this school in Europe. In Greek philosophy, there's no trace of any such doctrine. The poison in its foulest and most virulent form only entered with Christianity. But even so, few men of any real eminence were found to take the axioms of pessimism seriously. Huxley, for all his harping on the minor key, was a eupeptic Tory. The culmination of the black philosophy is found only in Schopenhauer, and we may regard him as being obsessed on the one hand by the despair born of that false skepticism which he learnt from the bankruptcy of Hume and Kant, on the other by the direct obsession of the Buddhist documents to which he was one of the earliest Europeans to obtain access. He was, so to speak, driven to suicide by his own vanity. A curious parallel to Kirillov in The Possessed of Dostoevsky. We have, however, examples plentiful enough of religions deriving almost exclusively from the black traditions in different stages. We've already mentioned the evangelical cults with their ferocious devil god who creates mankind for the pleasure of damning it and forcing it to crawl before him, while he yells with drunken glee over the agony of his only son. But in the same class, we must place Christian Science, so grotesquely afraid of pain, suffering, and evil of every sort, that its dupes can think of nothing better than to bleat denials of its actuality, in hopes of hypnotizing themselves into anesthesia. Practically no Westerners have reached the third stage of the black tradition, the Buddhist stage. It is only isolated mystics and those men who rank themselves with a contemptuous complacence under the standard of the nearest religion, the one which will bother them least in their quest of nothingness, who carry on the sorites so far. The documents of the Black School of Magic have already been indicated. They are, for the most part, tedious to the last degree and repulsive to every wholesome-minded man. Yet it can hardly be denied that such books as the Dhammapada and Ecclesiastes are masterpieces of literature. They represent the agony of human despair at its utmost degree of intensity, and the melancholy contemplation which is induced by their perusal is not favorable to the inception of that mood which should lead every truly courageous intelligence to the determination to escape from the furrow of the black schoolmaster to the outstretched arms of the white mistress of life. Let us leave the sinister figure of Schopenhauer for the mysteriously radiant shape of Spinoza. This latter philosopher, in respect at least of his pantheon, represents fairly enough fundamental thesis of the white tradition. Almost the first observation that we have to make that this white tradition is hardly discoverable outside of Europe. It appears first of all in the legend of Dionysus. And in this connection, read carefully Browning's Apollo and the Fates. Now, even though this is in the chapter, part 2 of the 3 Schools of Magic, even though this is in the black magic, I think it's probably an appropriate place for us to start tomorrow in Crowley's discussion of the white school of magic, which we'll pick up tomorrow. So, until then, thank you for putting up with our false start this morning. I've always pressed the wrong button. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. It's going to rain a little bit tonight, and anyway, it'll be a break in the routine. Anyway, until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.